In this video, we'll give you 6 quarterbacks that are undervalued in 2024 fantasy leagues. I'm Jim Coventry along with Anthony Cervino of RotoWire.
Yeah, my first quarterback is Patrick Mahomes. And yes, it's Patrick Mahomes, but he is going undervalued this year. He's going behind both Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen in terms of ADP. And if you look at how the Chiefs manage their offseason, the additions of Worthy and Hollywood Brown, there's a lot more speed in this offense. You have to remember Travis Kelce wasn't exactly healthy all last season. And then we factor in Rashee Rice. I know that the rumor is that Rashee Rice is going to serve some kind of a suspension this year. We haven't heard anything in a while. And he's one of those players who, like Alvin Kamara last year, he might not serve a suspension right away. So Patrick Mahomes realistically could have a full slate of pass-catching weapons at his disposal. We know in the past, Patrick Mahomes has gotten it done before. Just 2 years ago, he was a quarterback 2 in fantasy points per game. First year without Tyreek Hill, over 5,200 yards passing, 41 touchdowns. Going back to 2018, he even has a 50-touchdown season on his resume. So when all things said and done, I am still valuing Patrick Mahomes as a top 2 quarterback in fantasy football this year.
My first undervalued quarterback is Dak Prescott of the Dallas Cowboys. Now, Prescott was very similar in 2021 and 2023. He got about 4,500 yards. He got a very solid 36 touchdowns. Yes, 2022 was bad. I think we throw that season out. It seems to be the outlier in his career. It's not who he is. Last year, before Dallas had that bye in week 6, Prescott only had 6 touchdowns, and he didn't have a 275-yard game. However, Dallas figured out during that bye, we can't run the ball effectively. So what did they do? They went pass heavy. And after that bye, Prescott had at least 29 fantasy points in 7 of his last 12 games. Now, yes, that includes the Green Bay Packer playoff game, but that's fine. This year, Cowboys let Tony Pollard go. They bring in Zeke Elliott. Not an upgrade in terms of the running game. This will still be a weak running game. Dallas has already shown us they're going to throw in this scenario. Prescott could be in contention throwing the most passes in the league. He has CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson, a pair of great targets. We're hopeful Brandon Cooks and or Jalen Tolbert can give him a little bit extra. You can usually get Prescott around quarterback 7, and he should finish as a top 5 quarterback.
My next quarterback, Jim, is Kyler Murray. And right now, Kyler's going as the QB8 off the board in terms of ADP. And more times than not, if you go back to his career trajectory, he has finished better than the QB7 in fantasy points per game in every season but his rookie year back in 2019, where he still finished as a quarterback 1 in that category, but as a QB11. Even last year in 2023, only 8 games played, he averaged 18.9 fantasy points per game. That's the same number of fantasy points that he averaged on a per game basis in 2022, where he was the QB7 in that category. So we know right now we're drafting Kyler roughly at his floor. Kyler's ceiling, well, he was once the QB3 in fantasy points per game back in 2020. And now, if you look at the weapons that they placed around Kyler Murray with Marvin Harrison Jr., they brought in Zay Jones, Trey McBride's another year in this league, and Michael Wilson. This is a full cast of pass-catching weapons, and arguably, I believe this is the most talent Kyler Murray has ever had around him in the NFL. I am drafting him possibly as my QB6 right now. And I think the ceiling is top 5 quarterback overall.
My next undervalued quarterback is Justin Herbert of the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, Herbert's been with Los Angeles for 4 years. He had that great rookie year, and then even in 2021, 5,000 yards and 38 touchdowns. Yes, the last 2 years have not been good. Only 45 touchdowns in 30 games. Now, 2022, the offensive line was a mess. The coaching was terrible. Herbert was doomed. 2023, injuries to Mike Williams, to Keenan Allen, also to Austin Eckler. Well, all that works out. Herbert looks less than elite. Now we come into 2024. Jim Harbaugh comes in to coach. Greg Roman comes in to run the offense. And everybody is freaked out that this team is going to run. And they may want to do that. However, the defense, they have a few stars. They have a lot of scrubs. This is not a good defense. They are going to trail a lot. They will not have the luxury to run the ball. In the draft, they added Ladd McConkey at receiver. Josh Palmer was on a 1,000-yard pace when he was healthy last year. DJ Chark can be used as a deep threat if Quentin Johnson continues to struggle. Volume and a great quarterback in Herbert could lead him to much stronger passing numbers than the mid-range quarterback 2 you're drafting, and he can flirt with the top 12 quarterback status.
My last quarterback is Kirk Cousins, and he is one of the most undervalued quarterbacks in fantasy football, and a lot of it has to do with he brings nothing in terms of rushing floor, but that doesn't bother me. We know what Kirk Cousins brings to the table. He has averaged at least 20.5 fantasy points 4 consecutive seasons and in 9 out of the past 10 seasons. He should get into that range once again this year in Atlanta with some of the best weapons in the NFL. Let's face it. When you look at Drake London, Kyle Pitts, they brought in Darnell Mooney. All 3 of these players, they weren't exactly in the greatest situations in their previous spots in their career. Now we cue in Kirk Cousins and Zach Robinson. This passing attack should be a little bit more pass heavy than recent years. And I get that Bijan Robinson is there, but he should only help Kirk Cousins that much more in fantasy because Bijan Robinson, as a receiver out of the backfield, can break the big play, can catch a passing touchdown, rack up those yards, and those all count towards Kirk Cousins. Again, Cousins as the quarterback 19 off the board, I'll have him ranked inside my top 15 going into draft season.
My last undervalued quarterback is Deshaun Watson of the Cleveland Browns. Now look, Watson was not good last year overall. He has not been fantasy relevant in quite some time. Even last year, after week 3, before his season-ending injury, he was nowhere close to healthy. Yet, in Watson's last 2 games, he was impressive. Faces the Cardinals, throws a couple touchdowns, plays against the Ravens, engineers a great comeback, showing glimpses of playmaking ability that we saw early in the career. And remember, Watson in each of the last 2 years, despite not playing a lot, was on pace for 400 rushing yards, and that is where Watson has fantasy value. If you're going to rush for 400 yards, you are going to be a fantasy factor. Also, if Jerry Jeudy plays better than he did in Denver, it might be a stretch, but the receiver room would be Amari Cooper, David Njoku, and Jeudy, and Jeudy is very good after the catch. Watson's unlikely to return to that form that we saw years ago, but he could be close to league average as a passer. If he picks up where he left off in those last 2 games, that's what we may see. And with the rushing ability going as quarterback 20, I think he can have a fight to get close to quarterback 15. Now, if you enjoy videos like this, please consider hitting the like button and subscribe to the RotoWire Fantasy Football channel on YouTube. Also, check out all of our fantasy football content and rankings by getting a 2 free-day trial with no credit card needed. Go to rotowire.com/Jim to see all of our content.